Hey everybody, Matt here, Story64. Today going to do a little bit of wiring. Not going to do a ton of stuff today. I don't know if you can tell, it rained again. But this rain is different because it's currently in the, I don't know, mid 70s. So it's not that bad, but it's supposed to be getting in the mid 90s this afternoon. The rest of the week there's heat advisory at least, or until midweek, which is normal. This is normal for Iowa at least, because essentially it stops raining because the temperature goes up instead of the humidity going down. So it's just going to be hot and sticky and rather unpleasant. So I'm trying to get as much done as I can this morning. I just wanted to get a few things wrapped up. The wiring shouldn't take too long. Most of the stuff is plug and play. I did have to cut a couple of wires. That's one of the nice things about when I converted this, when I took the 64 straight 6 out and put the 78 351 in, I just took all the ignition things from the 78 and patched them into the harness of the 64. And surprisingly, it worked really well. I really didn't have to run a lot of extra wires. I didn't have to do a lot of strange things. The wiring, even in the 70s, really wasn't that complicated. There were, of course, this is right there, the DuraSpark 2. So it's electronic ignition, which is great, early or late 90s. And when I went in and put a new one in then, and then I just put a new one in last year. So considering it lasted over 20 years, it's doing okay. I'm pretty happy about that. So before, I did some things earlier this morning. I didn't record any of it because it was just a gully washer of a rainstorm. I couldn't hardly hear anything out here because, you know, metal building and all. So it was pretty much worthless to try to record anything. So, but I didn't do that much stuff. What I did do was I did clean up my spark plug wires, get some of the dust and grime off. Once they dried, I realized they're not as clean as I thought they were. So don't look too close at that. Ran the wiring. I do need to get some spark plug looms sometime. I never had them, and I feel like I should, even though the way this is a Ford Motorcraft DuraSpark wire set. It's what it says on it. And they're all numbered, and the way they run is really nice because all of them work to go around the front of the engine and back versus trying to go across the engine. So that's really nice. I really like that part. Then I started to put the DuraSpark in, and I thought, well, it's quiet enough. I can record this. So I thought I'd get the things going. So what we got here is, again, the DuraSpark. I took the wiring out of the 78, and actually this wiring I ran back into the ignition switch. These are the wires that go back to the ignition switch, and I was able to just run the wires. I took it out of the 78 and just ran them. They were plenty long, so that wasn't a problem. This section here, it does have one wire that's spliced. It's the green wire. And I also had to do a little splice in right here for the gray wire. This is one of the things I had to cut because for some reason I didn't put any kind of a unhookable link on here. I like to have wiring as unhookable as quickly as possible. That's just me. It doesn't work that, I mean, it's not, some people say, well, that's not very permanent. Well, you know, I constantly have to take this thing apart. So nothing's too permanent. Just like my zip tie wiring harness. Again, so at some point in time, I will actually put wire wrap around this. Maybe someday. I don't know. So one of the reasons that prompted me, though, to say, well, I should probably record this is because in looking at my wiring diagram, excuse me, that I printed out, I think, from the internet in the late 90s or early 2000s, which is sort of funny. I just have these folded up and put in the glove compartment box. The reason I wanted to record was, according to this, the wire that comes out of the ignition module and goes to the coil is supposed to be a gray yellow. There's no gray yellow here. And there's no gray yellow here. Now this is actually the stock 78 Ford wiring, and there's not a gray yellow. There's a green. And I'm thinking that's the one that has to be the one that goes to the positive, because why would you have, I mean, that's the only wire that has a hook, has a loop on it, and it's the only wire that doesn't plug into the distributor. And it goes right here, and it fits perfectly right here. So that's what we're going to assume. I feel it's a very safe assumption, but I wanted to record it that way for myself later on. If it's not the right wire, I'll know why I did that. These don't have to be super tight. I do need to keep this out though, because I've got another one to put on. Gotta have my tea. And this wire also has a small eye on it, so I'm guessing, and according to the wire instructions, it should be a red-green wire that goes to ground and goes to somewhere in the ignition. Now, when I did this, I didn't have red and green, I just had red, so guess what? It's going to be a red wire. And I'm sort of going off of, this is the way it looks like it should be. Because I do not remember, because I unhooked this 4, 5, 6 months ago. And I did not label it like I should have. Also, I will say, a lot of the wiring I'm doing right now is sort of temporary, because a lot of this, like this, mounts to the fender. And I'm not putting the fenders on before I start it. I want to get it started, running, so I know that everything works before I put the fenders on, because it's going to be a lot easier if I need to fix something without fenders on it. It's easy to work on, but it does require a lot leaning over, and I'd rather just be standing here. I should probably figure out where I can mount this. There we go. Okay, I can just screw that into this. There's 4 bolts here where the shock mount would normally go, and I haven't cleaned that up and painted it yet. I'm also not going to put that on until after I've got it running. Let me see if I can find those bolts. These are the bolts that I would have used to put it into the fender. I do not think, though, they will be long enough. Now this is the mess. This is the combination of wire loom for, we got your voltage regulator here. We got some kind of relay that's not done properly. Bent all to heck. Horn relay, maybe? I don't know. And what else do we have here? Just a little bit of everything. But it's all, again, this is the mixture of items that were original to the truck and items that were put on in combination with the 78 wire loom. Now I know that this right here is original, because it says, you see that? It says FOMOCO on it. So that, one of the things I think is really cool is using original parts whenever you can. And I'm sort of the idea that if, as long as it's still good, might as well use it. Plus it adds to the story. These parts, you know, is what brought it here over the 60 years. What I am going to put on is another bandana. Friends of the Ledges. Here's Friends of the Ledges. Ledges State Park. First state park in Iowa. Just down the road from me. If you ever get a chance, come and see it. It's pretty neat. Okay, where was I? Ah, yes. Mounting this stuff up. These two are the same type of connector, And there's no indication on here which one that goes to. And I also know that this wire also needs to go somewhere. So we'll have to figure that out in a little bit. Now comes the time when I need to look at some stuff. So I will let you be. I'm going to stop recording and get back. Okay, again, this is for record keeping here. Never mind this little clamp there. I don't know where that went, actually. I don't think that I was actually using it. So, black wire right here goes down to the starter. This red wire is from the battery, of course. This technically red and blue wire goes to, can't really see it, but it's the one marked S. This brown wire goes to I. This is just a main power feed. The brown wire ends up going to, hold on, the coil, right. And this ends up going to the ignition switch. So this is what activates it. And it will send 12 volts to the coil, 12 full volts to the coil. And I think that there is a resistor wire in there somewhere for the coil, or a resistor, so it doesn't get 12 volts all the time. Anywho, I also found out something. I was wondering, well, why do I have that over there and this over here when this is closer to the battery? But then I read it doesn't matter which side you put them on, as long as you know which one goes to the battery. So there's that is. Wanted to get in here close, mainly so I could keep a record of what I was doing. Also, in case you're interested. So again, this is a mixture here, let's look down there, of 78 stuff, and I don't think there's any 64 stuff necessarily in this, but it's all 78 stuff. But I'm not certain. I'm relatively certain I got this all hooked in correctly. This right here where you see the red, that is this thick wire that is going back up into the battery. I'm not too keen on that little yellow wire right there, but we'll see. Because this does have a fusible link in it right here. So I think this wire might be too light. I never had any issues with it, but I don't want to get in too hot. So I'm going to look into a little deeper into that. Then this is the ground wire. That's actually going right to the ground strap I put in. This wire goes to, hold on, the F, so that's field. That's this wire here. This white wire goes to the S. Oh, there, S, which is stator. This again, regulator. This is all should be all 78 stuff. This is the ground, and it has some type of capacitor or condenser in there. I'm not too keen on that. That thing has seen some better days. I'm going to see if I can replace this. This obviously is a very temporary mounting because this part of the frame, there'll be a fender here. So normally the wires wouldn't be able to go down here. They could. There's a gap, but I wouldn't want to mount this stuff on the outside of the fender. That's going to go on the inside of the fender. So I just wanted to denote what I did, and if I did it wrong, I will know why. This set of wires here is the horn relay. So I didn't plug that in obviously because I don't have a horn, don't need a horn at the moment. But that's what this set of wires goes to. And that's going to be it for today. I didn't plan on doing a lot of stuff, just getting the wiring needed to get the motor running on it and installed. So we did that. We got our ignition box right here, going to our coil. Coil's already on there. Distributor, I never took that off of the motor. We got our wires coming from inside, going over to the starter solenoid, and the voltage regulator, alternator is hooked up. So from an electrical standpoint, this motor should be ready to start up, except for I will not be hooking the battery up until all the fluids are in the motor and transmission, and I will not be hooking the gas fuel line up. for the same reason. I do not want to have accidental rotation of the motor because at the moment it has no oil in it. I'm not so much concerned about it overheating because I would turn it off rather quickly, but there is zero oil in this motor right now. You can tell there's no oil filter sticking off of here. So that's going to be next week. We'll be looking at, again, it's 3-day weekend, which for me means I get to work out in the garage for 3 days, which I'm cool with that. I like that. I like having some garage time. But next week we will be putting the front radiator support on, putting the radiator on, obviously getting the upper and lower radiator hose hooked up. I don't know if I'm going to run to the heater core and back, or if I'm just going to loop, I think what is it, this one and this one, and just have a loop and not put water in it. So decide that next week. Then we'll put oil filter, put oil in it, put coolant in it. I'm debating on, do I want to just do water and have to drain it again, or do I just go ahead and do the coolant and hope for the best? Water to be the smart choice. Because again, I just want to get it running. Once I know it's running and everything's turning, I also have to obviously put oil or transmission fluid in the transmission as well. So that's next week. Should be a big week. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get it running. That's about it for now. Can't think of anything else. Thanks for going along this journey with me. We'll talk to you later.